Hello, hello.
Hi,
How is everybody? How are you, Angel?
I'm good. How are you, Mashina?
I am okay. Hanging in there.
Hanging
Happy
in there.
Friday.
Happy Friday. You sound like me. I feel like that's that's how we all get through life is just by hanging on by a thread.
That part. Girl, I know. It's been up and down, but I'm glad that we are here. We finally made it the
Me
first
too.
Friday. Yeah. So
Yes.
if yeah, hi everybody. For those who are watching and don't know, we are Melon and Manga. That is Inja, and I am her other half,
Hi.
Sheena. She's a geek. A while
Hi.
ago, like maybe like a year ago, Inja came up with the idea of First Friday and just basically like highlighting maybe like first volumes of stuff or, new games that are going to come out, anything, anything that we feel like needs more eyeballs on,
Yeah.
we wanted to highlight. So,
And all the have
Inja,
actually done like three First Fridays. we're we're still trekking through. Like we never told you how,
right, we haven't give up.
but we're still hanging in there.
Yeah, we're trying. Fuck it, we're trying. That's all that matters. Okay, so hopefully, life doesn't always just stand in our way, and we could do these more often. Because when Enja came up with the idea, I absolutely loved it, and I hope that it could become one of the bigger things that we do. So yeah,
Mm. I
but
mean, the
Angela,
like it's just the Inja being consistent that's not on point.
stop it, stop it. You're gonna get there one day. I need you not to be
One,
consistent because then that's when you're gonna leave. You're gonna be like, you know what, I could do this. I don't.
not getting the
I
big
come
head.
on one day, you're on a whole nother channel. I'll be like, oh, okay, that's
Yeah, like when did this
let me
happen?
go sit in this chat. At least you can give me a wrench.
Yeah.
But yeah, but until then, she's got to deal with me. So, yeah, she was nice enough to let me highlight one of my favorite mangas. So we would like to share
One
that
that
with you.
also,
One of what?
I said one that I absolutely love also.
Oh, I'm so happy to know that you absolutely love it. Yeah. So, and we hope that you love it too. So, um, there are going to be, so it is a BL, and for those who do not know what a BL is, it's boy love. That's what it's
Mm,
categorized under. So the two main characters, you know, they are queer. So, I mean, if that's not your thing, that's cool. Keep it pushing. But for
yeah.
those,
But you
but I
still need
feel like you should let that, huh?
I said, but they still need to watch.
That part. Cool.
Listen, we don't need any outs, okay?
So just watch, shut the hell up, sit down, hit the like button and everything. But yeah, if you love BL, then maybe you haven't heard of this one and would want to put it on you know, on your
Yeah.
to be read. Um, Before we get into it, I want you to know that this book has really heavy topics. Um,
Mm,
there's abuse, there's all kinds of things wrapped up into this issue, to this
yeah.
volume one. So just to be
Yeah.
warned, okay? So
Yeah.
and yeah, we're not trying to hurt nobody's feelings or anything, but we would love to like be able to highlight this in its
Hmm.
proper way. So yeah,
It
you
deserves
want to
that.
say anything else, Andrew?
It deserves
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely.
It is, although it's BL, uh, I feel like it is a story that a lot of people can. I honestly, let me change that. I hope that not a lot of people can relate to this story,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
because that's just heartbreaking. But I do feel like it is a relatable story, no matter what
Right, and
your
then
orientation or relationship status, whatever it is, no matter
mhm.
what um I feel like it's something that everyone can put themselves in uh, the main character's shoes when it comes
Right.
to certain scenarios. So I think that it's written well.
Absolutely.
I think that the story is very interesting. It makes you want to keep going. The characters are
Mhm.
very um, what's the word? Dynamic. Right word? Yeah, I
Oh
think that's
yeah.
the right word.
That's a great
They're
word.
they're
Great word.
not they're not like static characters. Like they're interesting. They
Mhm.
make you want to learn more about their background. Um they change as the story progresses. Um
Mhm.
like it
And
I
that's
don't know
another
it,
thing about BL. Mhm.
oh sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
No,
No, no, no. You're fine.
you go.
No, no, no. You were saying it. I was co-signing what you were saying.
No, what were you gonna say about that being another thing about BL
No,
though?
I
I
was
want
just
to get
gonna say I read a lot of BL and like how you say that they progress and they um they grow and everything and you want to know more about their backgrounds. Like a lot of BL that I read, it's
Mhm.
they're not really deep.
Yeah.
They can be cutesy at times. They can be really toxic. A lot of BLs can be very toxic at
Yes.
times. But this is an actual story. So
Yeah.
if you can look, like, so that's why sometimes it's hard to like even categorize this as BL because I feel like this may be like a step out of BL and it's just a story. So I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes sense because a lot of like, if you read a lot of BL, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I could kind of see what you say it, but
Yeah.
and the more that you get into it, and the more that you're going to see that, maybe you'll agree with what I'm trying to say, but
I
definitely
agree.
enjoy your.
Like BL has that
Mhm.
like a lot of manga, like a lot of slice of life manga, but BL too
Mhm.
has a better recipe for their characters. Like you always have
Absolutely.
that one character who's a little more pushy and straightforward in the
Mhm.
relationship.
Right.
That one that's kind of cutesy, like one that kind of shies away. Um, that
Mhm.
seems to be like, but like these two,
Yep.
they
The
are.
very
I
alpha
feel
and
like,
the very yeah.
but I feel like they sometimes switch roles. Like the one who you would think would
Mhm.
is like that's like the more like aggressive pushy one, he sometimes tends to be the one that's like the shy, like uh kind of cute one too. Like he's very they're like onions. Like the characters are like onions. They have like a lot of layers
Oh,
to
I
them.
love it. Right.
They don't just fit one like mold. Like they have their personality is very diverse for the both of them.
Mm,
So that's
I love it. I love it.
what I like about
Ah,
this
I
story.
love it. I love talking about my babies. I just love it. Oh, so let's put up. Let's. We don't even have enough yet. Everybody's probably like, "What the fuck are they talking about?" So, and that is happy
Mm,
of the end. And
yes.
say the name, Inja.
Oh, it is by Tanaka, I think.
Yep, beautiful.
Said it
And if
wrong.
it's not, we're sorry. We love you. Okay. So yes. So this is happy at the end. This is so. Oops. Sorry,
Not my
Inja.
girl. What?
Not
Where are you?
not my girl. Not don't let me hit the buttons, okay? So just looking at this cover, what did you think, Edja, when I sent this to you?
Okay, so I let me just say I did not I thought it was going to be what it was, and I didn't think it was going to be what it was. And I know that makes
Okay, thank God.
no sense, but like, I was surprised and I wasn't. Like the cover of this, it looks so
Hmm.
gritty. Um,
Uh-huh.
like it really has that like. I thought it would be more of a like nightlife type feel, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So I
I thought
didn't
it was
think.
like the steampunk, like I didn't even know what uh like if that was a guy, if that was a girl, if it was a non-binary person. I didn't even know. So, but
Yeah,
when I was looking through it and it was suggesting it was under BL and I was like, "Oh, okay." But like looking at this cover and then if you just went by the cover and when it started, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
At first, at least I
yeah,
was, because I was just thrown off
yeah,
by the cover. So,
yeah. I thought it would be more centered around like 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 a scenario that happens in like like some kind of downtown nightlifey scene, like um that kind of like Sin City
hmm,
vibe, maybe not that
uh huh,
extreme, but like something like that. Like so like the scenes and stuff that we get, I feel like some of them are like the opposite because most of the story happens during the day. So like I feel like the cover doesn't even really far as like the setting and like the coloring and stuff used, but I feel like the cover matches the like intensity of the story.
mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I don't know. So yeah.
yes, love it, love it.
And
So
honestly,
yeah,
I thought
we would,
it centered around like I don't know, like some sort of like gritty crime. You know what I mean? Like
yes, yes, girl, yes. So I totally thought the same thing. I was like, oh shit, like how is this gonna play out? Just looking at this, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. And when I started,
yeah,
I was like, what the fuck is this? It wasn't until like how like a quarter into it, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I should just forget the cover. And I didn't even read the back to really know what was going on. I was like, okay, like, all right, this is cool. But
yeah. And the okay,
good for
so
you,
like
Sheila.
I aren't talking about the second volume today, but the second volume, that cover,
Oh God.
okay, like
Yes.
so this cover I feel like is the opposite of like the scenes in this volume. The second volume is like the opposite, I feel like, of what's really going on in their life. Like cuz the
Hmm.
second one's pretty heavy for um
Oh man,
what's
the
his name
second
with the
one's
dark hair.
beautiful. Woo!
Yeah,
I
but
just be bawling, girl.
stuff the cover and stuff you can't tell that because it looks so like bright and lighthearted. Like it takes place of like where they're at in their relationship at the time when
Hmm.
they start, which is like cool,
Hmm.
it's like a beautiful background, but it gets so dark super fast. It kind of reminds me of
Yeah.
um when Hikaru died. You know how like all the
Yes.
covers of that
All the
super
colors are
bright.
so vibrant. Yeah.
Yes, super lighthearted, and it is not like
It's not at
whatsoever.
all. At
Yeah.
fucking all. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So yeah, so these are the three covers that and so the the first one was serialized in 2023
Mm-hmm.
and it
And,
was
and
what was it?
I said that was is that in the U.S. I guess.
Yeah, so it but yeah, it was out in Japan. It was doing really well. It was in this one magazine called uh shit, Q. Look
Okay.
it up. I forgot. I thought I was like, oh, I can remember all this stuff. Good for you, Sheena. So then, but they actually did a live action of it on Fiji TV. But I guess it's just out. Out. Girl, I need to see this live action.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm just thinking, Lord, how did they? Oh my God! But I could see it being done in a live action. Like, I would love to see it
Yes.
really like done well and to get. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, just for them to get all his facial features, like that was so important. But yeah, so
Mm,
the first and the second book are already
well,
out.
uh,
And what'd you say?
I said in all those intimate moments.
Oh, girl, I know. And then the third one is supposed to drop, I think, in the middle of October. So
Okay.
when, yeah, so you'll
Us
have
or
time
not?
to,
Yeah.
yeah, you'll have time to pick up the two and roll right into the third one. And I feel I'm so jealous because I've literally been waiting more than a fucking year to know how this ends. And I keep trying to go online to see if I see any of a glimpse of my babies having a happy end. Because I swear to God, if they don't have a happy end, it's going to be my 12th and my 13th reason, girl. I swear.
Not the 12th
I
and
swear to you. So yeah. So yeah, let's start. The panels that I'm gonna put up, they're in manga style. So yeah, so that's how we're gonna read them. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy. We're gonna go through. There's gonna be a this. We're spoiling the whole thing. We're talking about the whole first volume. So
I'll
if you don't want to hear about it, everything that we just talked about, if you want to stop right here and read and come
no,
back, that's cool. Yeah.
no, we give no
Or
outs. So you hear
we'll do it for you. Sit the hell down and
that,
just we're doing it for
and you gonna read
you.
along. is ain't nobody checking the meter. We're we're
That
doing
part.
that.
Oh my god. Shut up. All right, let's start. So, so this is,
What?
I'm sorry. I showed, shut up. I showed like different books that she's written. So she's written like queer books and then she's written like under another name with other
Mm.
books. But Daisy's Jealousy is like a standalone. And then you have these two crazy, well, Escape Journey
I
is pretty good. It's like only three books. But that last one right there,
I want to read
Yarchin, bitch, girl,
I want to read it. That's one I've seen a lot. And
which
don't
one?
the Bitch Club one? Do they not have
Girl.
a? They don't have an anime of that, do they?
Yes, they do,
They,
girl. They
I
do.
thought. Okay.
It's on YouTube. I saw it on YouTube somewhere. I was like, no, they did not make an anime out of this. And I'm not too sure where you can watch the whole thing because that that book is wild, girl. That book is fucking wild. I'm like, what is going on? And it's the first
Hmm.
volume had been sitting on my shelves for a while, and
Yeah.
I just recently read it in August, and I was like, well, uh, ma'am, I have questions. Like, girl, it's
I
out
love.
there. I'm like, this is crazy. But okay, yeah. So those are some
Mhm.
examples of her other work. But look how
Okay.
beautiful she makes boys. Like,
Well,
ugh,
that
just want to
Daisy
burn them into
jealousy.
my eyeballs. Daisy
That
Jealousy, yeah, it's a standalone. It's pretty good. Huh?
yeah. The coloring of it reminds me of I want to eat your pancreas almost like the way that the I don't know
Ugh,
what it. I think it's extreme
yes,
the lighting on the cover.
yes. Stop, girl. I never want to relive that hurt. Stop. So yeah, and then the Escape Journey. I think there's three books, and then the Bitch Club one. There's five, I believe. So Lord, I'm like, yeah, but definitely we're checking out. So this is where we dive into the story and just
Okay.
take it away.
Alrighty. So is this full screen? Did it full screen it?
Oh, are we on full screen? Yeah.
It is okay.
Do you want to be on?
Huh? No. I just hit full
Okay.
screen. So
Okay.
I'll show it. Okay. So uh this one is heartbreaking. So this shows what is his friend's name? It's Shunichi?
Yeah.
Is that Shunichi?
Shinichi. Yeah.
Um, so it's Shunichi is getting married
Mhm.
to a girl, to his wife.
Mhm.
Which is like really heartbreaking because my guy right here had like this huge crush throughout high school on him. Like he fell in love with
Mhm.
him because he was the only one who he felt like went out of his way to show him attention
Uh
um
huh.
and to interact with him. And this was like during a time when he felt weird about like not wanting to be outed as being gay.
Mhm.
And felt about interacting with others because he felt like others would be able to tell or would know and didn't know how they would react. So this is like the one person that he connected with. And then
Mhm.
they ended up becoming close and they a little closer than close, right? To the point where he would have never guessed that he had a girlfriend and soon to be fiance and then was going to get married. So this is him
Right.
at the wedding. Like he actually, can you imagine how heartbreaking that is? Like he actually went to the wedding,
Ugh,
even with being in love with
right.
this
Look
guy.
at him.
Yeah, this his friend, like he never gave him closure. whatsoever as to
Uh,
why
I
he
know.
had been dating this girl, why he decided to get married, why he was like stringing him along, like all of this stuff. So
Hmm.
he
All
closure
the
with
stuff as he's just standing there at this guy's like,
yeah,
best day, looking great, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
okay.
Like in his head, I'm sure he's like, I really want to tell him about himself. I want to ask him all of these things so I can finally get closure and maybe be able to heal and deal with it and move on. But the only thing that he can say is
Hmm.
congratulations. Like that's all he can come up with.
That part.
So
That's it.
yeah, it's so sad.
So sad. So then it's like, so this next panel, if I'm right, wholly,
Yeah,
totally different. Okay, totally
yeah,
different. So yeah, like I said, we're reading from the other side to the, just like manga. So you get to see that maybe he was like reflecting, like remembering something,
yeah.
because the next time that we see him, our boy is literally in the garbage,
Garbage. Yeah,
bloody
which
nose, bloody nose. Like what
people,
the fuck? Somebody standing over him.
yeah. And later on, like in the story, not even too far into the story, but you see like how relevant him being in garbage is, like to his own life and how he
Mm-hmm.
feels about himself. Like there is
Mm-hmm.
like correlation between
Yep.
that, which is kind of sad, but yeah. So he's like he wakes up, he has this beautiful man like standing above him, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
in his head he's like like what's going on, where in the world am I? And
Yep.
then he's oh, something must have happened. Oh, I have this man who's like checking on me to make sure I'm okay. And then come to
Then he
find out
starts. Then he starts
he
remembering. So
yeah,
yeah. So he's broke. So the thing is that he's homeless. He's homeless. He's broke. He has no money. So his thing is to like steal from people. And so he goes into this bar one day, and he ends up running into this beautiful stranger.
yes.
And he's like,
Sheena,
oh shit, and then
that little,
what happened?
tell tell them what he does to that little boy he's sitting beside on the park
Oh,
bench
okay,
first.
yeah. So there's panels that I left out just in case people did want to know. But yes, so he was sitting on the bench and he was so hungry, like he hadn't eaten in a couple days. And then, girl, there's this kid sitting next to him eating a sandwich, and he just jacks his fucking sandwich and runs off with it, and he's like just shoving it in his face, like, and it's so heartbreaking, but it's so funny just the way he just like he's like fuck this kid, like he's gonna eat again, like
But he's like, this is how far I've fallen. Like I can't believe I've fallen
yeah.
this far. No, like
Oh my
that
goodness.
so messed up, and that he's like at the lowest of the low now. Like I love how he like he even like recognizes that about himself, but he still does it.
Exactly.
The man's got
He's
to
like, fuck it, he's gotta eat. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So yeah, he goes into the bar and he meets him, his dark haired stranger. And how would you say their names again?
okay. I don't know. I'm probably not pronouncing this right, but the blonde one who
Sure.
was found in the garbage is Chihiro, I think,
Chihiro.
maybe.
Yeah, that's how I said it. And
And
then
then the little
Kaito.
one, yeah, with Kaido or Kato, Kaido,
I would say Kaito. Oh yeah. So we're gonna go with that.
Kaito.
So
Go with
yeah. So those are the
Chihiro.
babies. So yeah, and he is looking like he. I love how they're blushing at each other. Like look at the panel at the bottom, like the way that he's looking at him, and he's like, oh shit, he's
Yeah,
like beautiful. Like, but I'm gonna rob this motherfucker for real. Like I'm going to. I gotta do what I gotta do. But they end up like hooking up. He ends up taking him back to the room. He's like, hey, you wanna, get the hell out of here. And
yeah,
this one, yeah. And then, like I said, when I first started reading, I was like, what is going on? What
yeah.
I was seriously so confused. So the next one, he literally like starts to beat the shit out of him with a toy.
So my favorite part about those two scenes though is that Chihiro goes in, which is the blonde one found in the garbage. He goes
Mhm.
in thinking that he's going to swindle someone out of like a place to
Mhm.
stay night and money and maybe food,
Mhm.
but
Right.
he ends up swindled.
Yeah. He ends up swindling because um Kaido like he's kind of sees what's up with them. You see what I'm saying? Like he's filling him
Yeah,
out, and then he knows that he tried to he just onto him, and then he just
yeah,
starts
and
beating the shit out of him with this stick.
yeah, he knows too that he was the one who had that black card, right? That he had
Yes.
stolen
Yes.
from someone
Yes. So
before.
there's a black card that he actually had, Kaido had on him, and Chihiro, he tries to steal it, but thinking
Yeah.
that it's like a credit card. Do you see what I'm saying? Or something that he could get money off of. And then he's like, nah, nah, I got something for you. And
So
he ends up
whole,
beating the
that
shit
whole
out of him.
bar that whole bar scene just then, like Chihiro goes in thinking that that he was going to swindle. He was going to meet some rich man,
Hmm.
going to pamper him for the night, or that he could sleep with for the night to get things out of it. But that whole bar scene
Hmm.
was actually a set by Kaido because he
Yeah.
needed Chihiro to be interested and to want to go home with him
Hmm.
so he could check if he had that card that he had stolen from someone
Right.
previously. So, like,
Right.
but he doesn't realize that he was walking into,
A whole
like,
trap, like a
yeah,
whole like setup.
it just went like so, it went like too easy. Like, I don't know why, like, his red flags didn't go up. Like, this man is like
I don't
too
know,
gullible.
girl.
Like, so
And
yeah,
he's like, and my baby, he is very gullible at times because, like, when we finally find out, like, why he's homeless and why he's doing all these things, like, you would see that, like, he's not built for this fucking life. He was just
no,
kind of thrown out there, So as we go along, so he's really gullible to things. But Kaido, he's like about that life, girl, and you're gonna learn
yeah,
about that. So
yeah.
yeah.
They, yeah, it is really like it's crazy because you would okay, so the way that their lives have turned out, you would think that what Kaido experienced personally, Chihiro would like
Mhm.
that. Chihiro's what's the word I'm looking for? That would have been his circumstances, right? And vice versa.
Mhm.
Because the way
Mhm.
that personalities are, the way that they act, like I
Mhm.
like that's crazy too. Like I don't know. You would have think like Kaido would have had the not saying that Chihiro's life was easy because it wasn't, but as far as like the trauma that Kaido had experienced, you would have think that that would have been, like what Chihiro would have went through, and then vice versa,
Mm.
because of the
Right.
way, like they're presented kind of in the story, and like their circumstances, like starting out,
Right.
but it's the opposite. I love how layered
Love
they
it.
are. Like, you don't even
Ugh,
get to see.
I know my babies. And then like as we go on, like pay attention to Kaido's like eyes. His eyes are so dark, and then like she, she did such a good job at all their facial expressions, everything that they ever felt. You could feel it yourself. So as we
Yeah.
go along, so he figures out what happened to him,
Hmm.
and he wakes up, and his homeboy. So his Kaido's homeboy is like, dude, like, leave his ass there. Let's go. Does he have the card or not? Like,
Yeah.
come on. And then he's like, hey, like, you're awake. You got my stuff.
Yeah.
And then as
And
in the middle of it, you got Chihiro like talking about what he's feeling, what he's going through, and he actually drags him into the car.
yeah.
He's like, no, you can come with us.
That's the part I like too, is because you were like talking about like Kaido's eyes, like how they're so dark, and so it kind of gives the impression that he's like not very feeling, um
Hmm. Oh God.
like he
Like, yeah, there's
doesn't
times that like, yeah.
for people, but then like that moment, like when Chihiro's like knocked out and he's like crying because he's remembering the wedding scene,
Hmm.
um
Hmm.
his friend like like how he was never able to ask and like get that closure. And
Right.
so like in the moment you can
Right.
see like kind of that, and he feels, you can see like even in his eyes in that panel that he feels sympathy for him. And I think that that's why he ends up bringing him along, is because
Right.
in that moment
Right.
he feels sorry for you.
And that goes back to what you were saying too. Like once you learn their backgrounds and stuff, you would
Mm-hmm.
think that he wouldn't have sympathy for shit like this. Like in instances like this isn't nothing
Yeah.
to him. But you get to see glimpses of this softer person. Like looking at him, he doesn't look soft, but but he totally surprises you by in those moments.
Yeah.
So we're back at his place. He's talking. He's asking him about the card that he stole. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I don't have it anymore." Like, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay." And he was like,
And I
"Okay,
love,
well, you can get lost now." He said sorry
yeah.
for beating you up. Like he's so nonchalant about it. He's like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Sorry, I whooped your ass. You can go now." And he was like,
Yeah.
"I don't have anywhere to go." And and then he offers to do, he offers to sleep with him, like to so he doesn't have to go. And he's
Yeah.
like, "What?"
What he does best and what he has done in order to survive. But I think in this
Hmm.
moment, I not even just that. I feel like because like initially that's where they were headed. You know,
Exactly.
like
He's still
I
like, look at him blushing and stuff. Like it had nothing to do. I don't. I feel like he still like was interested in him in some way. So
he's
absolutely,
already
Andrew.
like, Kaido has already seen him like at has already seen Hero at his very like lowest point. So he's like,
Hmm.
honest, I really have nothing else to lose. Like I have no dignity whatsoever. So I might as well, like bare myself and ask him, like I feel like he's
Right.
like, well,
Yeah.
I've
And then
already
and then
crashed up. He kidnapped me. Like, honestly, what's
what?
happening?
Yeah. What else? Okay. He
Not
can't
the
get
lowest I
kidnapped,
can.
girl. Crying. But yeah, he did. So he brings up that he was like, "Weren't you like?" Because they're all like in the same area, so they kind of know things. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like you said, they kind of set him up. So um, Chihiro, he was with this other dude, and he was like living
yes.
there with him. And he was like, "Weren't you freeloading
Yeah.
off of him and shit like that?" And he was like, "What happened to that?" He's just like, "I don't want to talk
The
about
other
it."
dude
And then so yeah,
were like keeping pets. Like, so if he let someone live with him,
yes,
they are like as his pet.
his
Like
pets. Yep,
that's how he
yep,
sees.
and right, kind of like he was like their sugar daddy, and those are his sugar babies,
It.
and like, but they were giving up the sugar when he wanted it. And I was like, oh, but yeah, so he's thinking that maybe he could do this with Kaido too. So he propositions
Yeah.
him, and then he's like, "No, I'm good, homie."
Yeah. And even like that friend, the driver or whatever,
Hmm.
who's a friend of Kaido, like even though he's like a side character and you see him like through bits and pieces of the story, he's still someone that you will like have like they make you like care about him as a person. Like he has a
Yeah,
connection,
and they make you,
right?
yep, absolutely. So I feel like everybody that she brings into here, they have a purpose, and they're not just a side character. Like they're a part of this whole big story.
Yeah.
So and he tells them you should leave. Like they start to drink, they eat and shit, they hang out for a minute, and he's just like, you should get out of here. And he's like, I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Like he was like, but so then he's like, oh well, so they start fooling around just out of
Yeah.
nowhere. Like he just
Oh,
starts
take
to
it back. Yeah, he
huh?
he like so he passes out because he's so drunk and falls asleep.
Yeah.
And then like he like wakes back up kind of like out of his drunken stupor, and they're talking about his friend, like the driver or whatever.
Mhm.
And he
Mhm.
just like talking, just starts like unzipping stuff on Chihiro, and
Mhm.
like they're having a regular conversation, and like this is normal for them. But it
Right.
but
And
it's
it's so yeah, and then like he's just like, good God, he's like great at this. Like what? And he's so nonchalant about it. He gets up, he's smiling, then he gets on the phone, girl. Kaido gets on the phone and he
yeah,
goes and he washes up. He's like, all right, why are you still here? And he's like, what the
yeah,
fuck? Like Jira has no idea how to feel. Like he's feeling like 10 million things. And then he's just like, this
yeah,
fucking jerk, like he does this and then he just kicks me out, you know?
yeah. But like Chihiro, like I'm in this moment, I'm proud of him because he leaves. I don't know, I kind of feel like Kaido is
Mm-hmm.
like testing him almost. Like I think he likes
Right.
his privacy, but then he's like kind of enthralled with Chihiro a little bit, and that's like him testing him, like he's seeing like how far he can push him or whatever. Um, but like Chihiro's like, like he's had to rough it out and stuff, and so he does have a point where he's like, okay, well I'll go, like I'm not
Right.
going to stay where I'm not wanted.
That part. That part. I'm not gonna keep begging or anything. Like I've already told you that I had nowhere to go and you're still like, like, oh well, so yeah, like I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
So and then so he ends up back on the streets and it's raining and everything, and then he ends up trying to steal again, correct?
yep, I think so. Like, it goes to that moment where
Yeah.
he's like self-reflecting, because he
He's
starts
self-reflecting.
like his how his family kicked him out because they didn't approve of his lifestyle. And
Mm-hmm.
then about how his best or the guy that he was in love with, who he thought had feelings for him, ends up getting
Mm-hmm.
married. Patient that that's what was
Yep.
happening. And then
Yep.
about
And then he ended
other
up didn't
guy,
he end up getting caught with him? Like everybody found out and he was like, oh, it's okay because I have him. Everything will be okay. But then his ex ends up leaving him. He ends up like being like, no, 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 like I don't think I want to do this, like this isn't for me. And then he ends up on the streets because of it and alone. And then that's how he ends up with the sugar daddy, right?
yeah, because who is it? Someone tells him, okay, it says you're effing useless. You don't have the knack for this. You've got zero talent. Whatever. Go home. Don't come back again. You a hole. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
he had working on the streets as
Right.
like an escort, and then so he meets up with that one guy who like keeps people as a pet, and like his comment is like, trashy guys like you are just my type, and like I don't know, that's kind of sad. I feel like too, Hero doesn't
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
more self-respect for himself, than that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, honestly doesn't have room to. He's pretty much got to take what he can get at this point just to survive, because he has
That
nothing. He
part.
has no. As the one person that he was willing to like risk being outed for, like he didn't care about his family disowning him because he had
Absolutely.
one guy,
Right.
he felt everything was worth it. Um, and then that guy ends up leaving and getting married, so he has like nothing at
Mm-hmm.
this. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And then he keeps like thinking back to, you know, Kaido. Like he even thinks about him in the midst of like everything, and that's what that panel was. It was just him remembering his face, like remembering those eyes and stuff, like and just everything that came before it too. And
yeah,
then this is where he's stealing.
that
He's
camera,
stealing the camera,
yes,
right?
because that was like the one he actually liked doing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Taking pictures.
yeah. He actually liked to take pictures and stuff like that. So I think he was just trying to get a piece of himself, regardless of him not being able to eat and everything. Just trying to get
Yeah.
something that makes him happy, even though he would probably have to sell it or something in order to eat or whatever. But maybe within that moment, he could have something that made him happy. And in this, when they pull up his shirt, you can see how skinny he is,
Yeah.
how he's really going through it. Like this is real, and this is not how he wanted. He didn't see his life going like this.
And so like this moment, this whole moment, like him resorting to stealing again, and all of that. This is like a self-reflection moment for him because he's like
Mhm.
so people view him as trash and he sees himself as trash. And I don't
Right.
know
Right.
when first, like I don't know if he saw himself as trash first and that's kind of how he acted and that's how people started viewing him. But like his thing is like he blames everyone for
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
the turn of events and the way that his life has turned out and the way that he feels personally about himself. And so like he's
Mhm.
having like this deep self-reflection moment. And then it turns to like he makes the comment like I know deep down that it's nobody else's fault, like that this has turned out the way that it has and that my life is like this, but that's the only way he can get through. Like that's what like fuels him
Mhm.
is if he
Mm.
has blame. Uh so that's because if he doesn't have anyone else to blame, then that means that he's going to have to take a look even
At
deeper
himself.
at himself.
Right.
And
And he
and
doesn't,
there's,
yeah, no, and yeah, that's hurtful. That
yeah,
hurts. And then
there's
it
no
goes back to too, like this is real as far as like when Angel when we first started and she said that you could see yourself in situations like that's like this is real life shit. Like kids that are queer do get kicked out because of the way that they feel and the way that their parents think that it's wrong and everything. So many kids that are on the fucking street are are queer babies out here because and have no resources, nowhere to really go. And I don't know in Japan how it is versus like here in the U.S. as far as like getting help and resources and shit like that. So and he's pretty young too. He's not like in his 30s or 40s or anything like that. Like I think he's like right out of high school,
probably,
like you know
yeah,
thrown, doesn't have
yeah,
any experience doing anything. And that's why
right,
he just like resorted to the shit that he did.
yeah.
So,
And so like when
and
I
it's hard
said,
to like,
oh
huh?
sorry,
No, 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 go ahead.
I was just gonna say like when I said earlier that like even though the like their romantic situation or whatever may not be relatable to everyone, I feel like the story in
Mm-hmm.
general is something that um a
Right.
lot of people can take from and relate to. So like just his situation of like feeling like even like with me personally, like feeling like you're at a loss and you don't know which way to
Mm.
turn and
Right.
like you have deep seated issues and
Mm-hmm.
events that have occurred in your life, you don't know how to move past them or how to like make things better, and so
Right.
you're stuck in
And get over this hump.
this
Yeah. The-
yeah, you're just like down spiraling like, and
yes.
so
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So see, yes, I love that. Not that you're spiraling
one
out of your life or anything like that. I'm saying
but
that.
but one bad move makes it easier for you to make another bad move, and then that makes it easier for you to make
Mm-hmm.
another and then another. um and then like it's also easier for you to be like uh meeting people who can take advantage of you, or not even that, like
Mm-hmm.
opening a space for you to where you can like meet new people and have like something, like have like things in common with them. Like it opens up
Mm-hmm.
chances for that, for good or for bad. It opens up an
Good or
opportunity
bad.
for you to
Yes. I
meet
was good.
people
Yes.
like get these circumstances, but then it also opens up opportunities for you to meet people who will, like who could take advantage or whatever it is. But I don't know, just that struggle of just life in general, because life is hard. Life is hard for
That part.
many different people, and like we none of us have the same struggles, but I feel like all of us do struggle in some
Mm-hmm.
form. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
learning how to deal with that struggle, and then learning like what you need to be accountable for, and seeing that and taking responsibility for like
Mm-hmm.
what you're responsible for, but then also knowing like when you're in toxic situations, or like whatever it may be, like handling things, like being able to handle things in an appropriate manner, and knowing that you are good enough, like knowing that you're not trash,
Right.
knowing that
Right.
you are a strong.
That baby's not trash.
Yeah, I know, and that's what breaks my heart so much for him, is that he thinks that the
Yeah.
situations he puts himself in is okay
Mm-hmm.
because he's like the lowest of the low, and he is
Mm.
not. Like
He's
he is
not.
somebody's
He's not. He's
realizing
worth,
that.
yeah. Oh, my God. Yes. Yes. So yes. So yeah, and then this part when he says, "I can't bear this," and that just goes to with everything Andrew was saying. Like it's just so much for this baby, and oh, girl, it just breaks my motherfucking heart. It breaks my
And then
motherfucking heart because.
like when you think that he is like ready to just like give up and end it all,
Mhm.
and then what happens
Mhm.
after this, I so beautiful. It's like it's like the universe looking out for him, because it's like deja vu all over again. Not my boy been in the
Yes.
trash.
Oh my God. He's
Not
like,
again.
"Hey," and I hate his face looking kind of. He's like, "Hey," like what? Like making a joke out of it, and this baby done ended up in the same position that he was
Yeah.
in
But that
before.
whole thing of Chihiro been in the trash, I think that's so beautiful, because it's like one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? So he had his
Mhm.
family they gave him up and threw him away like he was trash. And then the guy that he was in love with, who let things go on as they did, he threw him away like he was dispensable and like he was trash, right? And so
Mhm.
like him,
Right.
like us finding him in the trash at the beginning of the story, and then finding him in the trash again, like I don't know. I feel like there's
And then
growth.
him becoming his treasure. Yes. And then he picks him up. He's like, "Oh, I'll keep
Yeah.
you, I guess." Yes.
Second
Such a
time.
good. Yes. So yeah, this was just them having a conversation.
Yeah, I love it. And I love like that freaking smug look on his face kills
Right.
me. But Chihiro
He's
falls
just
for
sitting
it.
there. Yeah. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
already smitten. So
Yeah.
he's like, I remember a line from an old movie I watched that went something like, "My life's a box of chocolate. You never know what you're gonna get." And he
Girl,
was like,
on. I was like, what
I
the
was like,
no they're
what?
not.
Not
No, they're not. Stop.
not Forrest Gump. Not fucking Forrest Gump, girl.
Oh man.
I was like, we have other movies, but no,
Right?
they
Yeah.
actually right. I mean, I keep telling myself, who would have seen this coming? But can my
Cause
life be
not in the
comparable
trash.
to a box of chocolate? Huh?
I said, yeah, cause not when you said who would have seen this coming, and I was like, cause not in the trash twice. Like, I wouldn't have seen that coming. I
Right.
didn't see that coming.
He said, what the fuck? Right. Oh my goodness, that poor baby.
Bless it.
So yeah, so that's the end of they call them episodes, but it's basically the end of chapter one. So that's
Girl,
wild.
9 minutes in. We've only finished episode one.
We're
What?
gonna move. We're look. Okay, we're gonna try to move quicker, but not. There, technically, I think there's only like 4 or 5 chapters, so we'll just move a little quicker. Okay, but thank you. It's a lot to unpack. It really is. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So it's been 2 months. They're still together,
Yeah.
and then he's calling him out of his name and shit, and he's just like, ugh. But like
Yeah.
they've been together.
Yeah. So they have like this routine. Like
Hmm.
Kato goes to make money and Chihiro cleans the house, but Chihiro really gets
Yep.
nothing out of it. Kato buys himself lunch and Chihiro may get a scrap. like, but he gets a place to
Right.
stay. He's not having to
Right.
sleep in the trash anymore. So
Right.
he,
Right.
he's progressed some. But they're in this like you would think like Kato's like made of money, but they like rent out these like dumpy places to stay.
Yes. Very dumpy places. Yeah. Yeah. And it's yeah. So he's just kind of like making it too.
Yeah.
But
But so like to me when I saw that it made me think like which you'll see later on also, it made me think like
mhm,
there's a reason. Like he's trying not to
there's a
draw attention
reason.
to himself.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's trying not to draw attention to himself. So
Yeah.
then they talk about getting out, and he gets him a disposable camera. He comes up on a disposable camera, and he's so excited. He's like, "Can I take your picture? Can we go outside? Can we do something?" He's just like, okay,
Yeah. And like he's
whatever."
so back by like Chihiro's like enthusiasm for it. Like I don't think
Hmm.
he's really had his life you can tell that has been like excited about something so because like a disposable camera is something so small, but Chihiro's
Uh huh.
like he thought he was like a
A
kid on
present.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um,
And out of everything, that he gave him a camera.
yeah,
Like he didn't know nothing about, unless they never showed that they have a conversation about it. But he gives him this camera, then that's why he's like, holy shit! Not only did he give him a present, it's something that he really enjoys doing. So he asked
yeah,
him, "Can we please go to the park? Can I please take pictures of you and everything?" So they're at the
yes.
park, and he's like, he
Well,
doesn't want to, but he's just like,
I think that panel we saw of him stealing the camera, I think that Kato
"Oh, that's it."
was a background. Like I want to
Hmm.
say that he witnessed
Okay,
that
let me see.
happening. I may be wrong though, but I think he did. I think that was this. I think that's why the him getting that camera was so significant was because he knew about that scenario playing out, and I think that was
Nice.
why he picked the
Yeah.
camera specifically.
Yep. So they're at and he's taking pictures of him, and he just realizes how beautiful he is. Look at him, so pretty.
Yeah, not my guy been like hurry it up as he's posing like a model. Like what? Really?
Not you eating this shit up and then acting like you're not into
Yeah.
it. But this is where he really starts like reminiscing on stuff.
Yes.
And then because like he's looking at Kaido, and he's attracted to him. And he said, as
Yeah.
long as I can remember, I've been attracted to men, and
Yeah.
I had to keep it a secret my whole life, and that's wild. That's something so heavy to carry around with you, because that's your core. That's who you are.
Yeah. It
And then
is.
to have to hide that part of you at all times, like that's got to be so stressful for that baby. And
Yeah.
then he meets, you know, uh,
Shinichi, I think is his name.
yeah, Shinichi,
Yeah.
and they're in school, and he seems like he sees him. Like he
Yeah.
notices that, he's beautiful, he's charming, but he's one of the people that pay attention to him.
Yes. And so I kind of wonder if I wonder more so like, in volume 2, but I kind of wonder if Shunichi was able to recognize um Chihiro's interest and if he preyed upon
Mhm.
that because he was interested like he wanted to like experiment, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like he had like
Mhm.
these tendencies or whatever and
Mhm.
kind of used him for that or if he actually had feelings. But I kind of feel
That
like
part.
it's the former.
right, that part. So yeah, and then so
Because
you
you
start to
never
see
like
like
see
little
like
things that happen between them. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and it was just like he craved that so bad. Like these little things, just like you said, there was just such simple moments, like the little touching or like him just paying attention to him. Like he craved that so bad for him, somebody to see him and not shy away from him because he felt the way he did. Like it was
yeah,
easy for him to fall for him, and regardless of how homeboy may have been feeling, you see what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like he, yeah. So,
Shinichi seems like one of those type of people who is like aware
hmm,
of is like able to pick up on another person's feelings, and that's why I kind of feel like he did my man dirty. Like,
yeah,
like he was only
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
He used
Absolutely.
him like, you know, get his
Mhm.
own things out. Like he used Chihiro as his own outlet, but nothing
Right.
more.
Right. And he never gave a shit about his feelings. And you see that later on. Like
Yeah,
that confirms that like he was just in it for himself, you know, or his
yeah,
own little selfish reasons instead of like he may be in tune with that person's feelings, but he didn't give a shit about that person's feelings, you know.
yes.
So and then as he's
Okay,
taking pictures of him, yeah.
this part right here is another one of my favorite panels because this is the first time that you get a view into Kato's life. When Chihiro is asking,
Mhm.
because they were asking about each other. Like Kato asked first about Chihiro,
Mhm.
and that's when it went into the backstory of Shinichi. So then Chihiro asks Kato like if he has anyone, like family, a lover, whatever. And so Kato says his mother. And then
Mhm.
Chihiro asks what she's like, and then Kato says that's a secret. But this panel right here shows Kato, which we don't really realize, but I feel like this shows him in like his most vulnerable, like genuine state. And that's why like Chihiro, like when you see that panel of Chihiro, like he's kind of taken aback seeing Kato like this and is wanting to
Mhm.
capture this moment because it like everything about this image is beautiful. Like you have those birds
Yes,
flying
and he
around, but you also have
uh-huh.
Kato as like he's sharing a part of himself, and you'll see
Mhm.
later on like the significance of like his mom and the struggles with that.
Yes.
And so like
Yes.
this is like a genuine like vulnerable like image that is like needs to be captured on film, I feel like. So I
Right.
love
Beautiful.
this thing.
So yeah, and then he ends up making him laugh. And if you read the book, you'll know why he makes him laugh. But then yeah, because he's so like enthralled with him in that moment that Andrew just described, that he does something so silly, and it actually makes Kiddo laugh a lot, you know. So, but then he sees his mother and son walking past, and then it just reverts him right back to, you know,
What he didn't
him
have.
closing up. Yep. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Is that's not the same boy that he stole the sandwich from, right?
No,
That's not the okay.
I'm
God, I don't know
crying.
why I
I'd have
thought
been like, hell
when I
no,
had
mom,
read
that's
it.
him. That's him.
Okay, I'll be
So
right
now we
back.
move
You
on.
keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
So now we see the boys, and they're in a whole nother section. And they're actually at Chihiro's front door of his parents' house. So he wants to go back and get something from the house. And then he still has a key to his house. And he's just like, I just want to grab my camera. And, and he was just like, what do you mean? He was like, I'm going to steal their shit. He's like, what are you saying? So he tries the key, and he sees inside pictures, and he sees no pictures of himself. And this shit just broke my heart. Like, how do you do that? How? How do you like just throw away your child? because your child feels something for another man. Like I could never fathom throwing my son out on the streets because he felt that way. Like, ugh, it's just so heartbreaking. Like, and they just erase him. It's one thing that you just throw him out. You just try to erase that baby altogether, and that just goes with everything that Angel was saying, like how he feels about himself and how he feels like people look at him. So
Could you hear that?
yes, but
My bad.
no, you're fine. No, and that's funny that you're sitting here, you laughing, and he tries to go back to his family's house, and like he sees the photographs, and he's gone, and out of all of them, and it's just like, you
Yeah.
your babies bring you joy, and
Yes.
I know you could never imagine like throwing your children out on the street because of
No.
something that's them to the core. Like,
Yeah.
girl, what?
Never.
And that just goes back to what you were saying that about himself. Like people just threw him away
Yeah.
and got rid of him, and like to see that.
Yeah. That's so heartbreaking. That is that the scene where he goes back to find his camera
Hmm. Uh-huh.
after all
And
of
then
that.
the lock doesn't work, and then he can see into the house, and that there's no pictures of him or anything, and then he's like, you know,
Oh, that's so sad.
and he was just like, well, I got an idea. And then he decides to pick up a rock. Oops. He decides to pick up the rock, and he's like, just forget it.
Can you hear me,
Andra,
Sheena? Can you hear me?
Andra,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
hello,
Can you hear me?
Andra,
Yes. Can you hear me?
Andra. No,
Let's see.
can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Hello,
I'm here. Can you hear me? Yes. Oh,
so yeah, you just get to see that his heart is broken, and he
mhm.
turns away from him, and then Kaido gets to see him, and and he tells him, "Let's go home, like home, like you have a home, even though it's like, you know, even though it's not what you want it to be, you have a home." And he's telling them, "Let's go home." So,
Yes. I love how he phrases it like that too.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because he could have just like, let's just get out of here, you know. So
Yeah.
then they go back, and then they start like being intimate, and he tells them like, let's leave together, so you don't have to think about anything. Like he's just
Yeah.
like, okay,
I love it though, because
and
that's like, like they're sharing that moment together. They both had a moment where they were both vulnerable, although Kaido
uh
wasn't
huh,
super vulnerable,
mm-hmm,
but vulnerable for him, right?
right,
So I love that. Like that, like they kind of bonded and or got a little bit closer. So it was like a
yeah, and then
celebration.
like Kaido wanted, yeah, he was being like, and then he just refers back to being a box of chocolate with all that trash
Yeah.
shitty pieces of chocolate maybe.
Yeah.
Poor baby. But yeah, he's like kind of like aggressive with it. And he's
Yes.
not like hurting him, but he's just like really like trying to take a little bit of his frustration out on him. And
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so
Yeah.
they end up like he ends up kind of being a little bit mad at him because he just feels like he's just being like a dick because he's taking his aggression out on him, but he's going through something
Yeah.
too. So yeah, that was a quick that was a quick but still impactful chapter.
Yeah, it like
So
for it to have been so short, it had a lot in it.
mhm. Mhm. So then we move on to episode 3, chapter 3, and you get to see. So the boys are hanging out, and um, Chihiro actually runs into this lady,
Mhm.
and this lady,
For Kaido. Yeah.
uh,
Ends up being
yep,
Kaido's mom.
yep,
And we find out that he gives her money, but she
hmm
doesn't remember.
yeah. She doesn't remember. She's out on the streets. It looks like, she looks like she's just all strung out and everything like that. So, and
Yeah. And Chihiro, like this whole time, is to know him
what'd
and
you
trying
say?
to feel.
Uh huh.
Chihiro is one of those people who Chihiro's one of those people who like falls in love easily. I feel like. So I feel
hmm
like that's kind of where he's headed, and he knows that, and so he's like trying to do little things
hmm And then
like
he
trying to
really,
find like
like he
um
starts opening up, and then like he has like one thing he loves to eat. It's like omelet rice. It's just like, dude, I can make you other things, but obviously that means something to you. So okay, so
yeah, he wants to know like how long him and the other guy have been friends and like
hmm
like their relationship with each other. And then when he sees
yeah,
Kaido talking to this woman, he's like, like wants to know more about who she is. And then he ends up that's Kaido's mom. And then he's like, he's never talked about her. Like, I don't really know anything about her. So he's like getting this interest in him, and he's like wanting to know more
hmm
things about him, and he's becoming more
hmm
interested in him and wanting to have this like bond of
intimacy,
closeness.
yeah, like
Yeah.
they sleep together, they live together and stuff like that, but there's no
He
they
wants that
keep it
connection.
surfacey. That
Yeah.
yeah, that surface shit, and he wants more, and you can actually see it, and it's like they're sharing like little things, and he goes to reach for him, and
Yeah.
you know, in this moment, Kaido like totally freaks out. Like even though he
Yeah.
look, even like the sweat dripping down his face and shit, or if that's a tear, I don't know if it's a tear or if it's sweat or something, but it it makes him react like really ugly, and he pushes him, and he's like, "Don't do that
Yeah. It
weird
makes
shit.
him
Like,
a little
don't."
uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's totally uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
He's just like, "Don't do that shit.
Because he
This
he's
ain't
not
the."
used
Mm-hmm.
he's not used to intimacy.
Absolutely right, right, and he's just like,
He didn't get
okay,
yeah. And even like so like even that scene like with them and holding hands, um, that is like a parallel to like Chihiro and Shinichi. Like you remember how like Chihiro when he was talking about like how he like fell in love with Shinichi, it was like
mm-hmm,
I think that was like one of the pictures that it showed, like them holding hands, like that stuff like that like means a lot to him, right? Because it's about
right, absolutely,
connection. That's why like that. And so like all the holding hands doesn't seem like it would be such a big deal to some people. It is to him because it means, like
mm-hmm.
somebody is okay with like being close to him and to touching him
Oh my goodness. And then just imagine like how long he's been on his own without really any
and
love or any
yes,
like,
and how he's that
so he's
guarded,
just
like he doesn't
craving.
feel like
Yeah.
anyone. Yeah.
Oh, my poor babies.
So
Both of
being
them,
like
my poor babies.
rejected in that way,
Mm-hmm.
that hurts my heart
Yep.
for him.
So in the next, I'm sorry, but I forgot to put this in the panel, but he does. I think I just got the panels mixed up. So he ends up, Kaido ends up getting him a present, and it's a necklace. And he gives it to
Mm-hmm.
him, and he's just like, I just got you a little something, and you know, it is what it is. Like he doesn't seem like to make it try to make a big deal out of it, but Chihiro's
Yeah.
like, I love it. Like, thank you.
Yes.
And you can see like he
Yeah.
was like, "This is so lame," and he was just like, "Well, it fits you perfectly." Then, like, just to like downplay, that sign
Mm-hmm.
of wanting to like, show that he's kind of feeling him out. So then so like the next day, he actually sees Kaido's mom, and she is passed out right on the
Yeah.
side of the street. And he's like, "Oh my god, is she fucking dead? Like, what is going on?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's that necklace that he gave him. I'm sorry, I totally messed up those panels. So in the midst of him trying to help his mom,
No,
Kaido
you're
sees
fine.
him and he's like, "What?" He goes, "What the hell is going on?" And in the struggle, he's like, "Just leave her there. She doesn't even know what the hell's going on. It's good. Like, we got to get out of here. Like, before
Mm-hmm.
she causes a scene and shit." He's like, "No, I'm not gonna leave her here." And then in the midst of it, she hits him. She ends up hitting Chihiro and knocks his necklace off. And um and I should have got these
Does
panels,
it
but
break?
huh? Yeah, it breaks off. It breaks off of his
Does
neck
it
because like
break?
she like
Yeah.
wakes up and she's frantic, and she like in the struggle, like trying to get away from him. It breaks off and shit, and he's really
Yeah.
upset. But he gets to see, like, Kaido gets to see that somebody gave a shit about his mom because he was like, "We just can't leave her here. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You just can't leave your mother
Mm-hmm.
out here. Like, what the fuck? What if she gets hit by a car or something?" And he's just like, so it has him thinking differently. So oops, sorry, baby. He ends up going to look for his necklace, and he's hella upset. He didn't even tell kind of that um it fallen off, and he went looking for it himself. And he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. He just tells
He has to go, right?
it's like something to do. Don't joke with me. And Chihiro's like, I have a life, but he doesn't. Like he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to like make a big deal in front of him about that necklace, but that necklace is so
Hmm.
meaningful to him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so he sees him right, looking through the bushes and everything for this thing, and he's like so torn up about it. And then he's just like, "Dude, it's like
Yeah.
trash. Like, why are you?" And he was like, "Not to me. It means something to me." And he
Yeah.
ends up being so shocked by it. Like, look at his face. He's like, "It's not." Uh-huh.
I love that. He
He's
lowers
like,
himself a little bit.
yeah, and then he ends up trying to help him find it, and they end up finding it. He's so happy about it, and he sees that he really did try to help him and everything, and like he's just like so smitten by it, and the chain is broken, but he's like, it's okay, like he's hella optimistic about it, and Chihiro tries to play it down again, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So yeah, they go back to the house, and they're they be together, and then he brings up that black card again, and his mother. It was a
Yeah.
membership card. So he ends up finding out that this was a membership card that for a brothel, and that's
Yes.
what uh, Kaido does. Like he brings in business and everything.
Yeah. But it's not that's you kind of get another glimpse without fully getting a glimpse of
Hmm.
Kaido's life, like what
So yeah, so he's like
you
a
have
lot.
to think about, well, how did he get mixed up in that? But he seems like
Hmm.
he would be like an okay person, right? And so it kind of makes
Yeah,
you think about, well, how would he get mixed up in being employed as
right. And
someone
then he said,
who
yeah,
married
right.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he says that his mother's from China and she worked in the sex trade. And apparently she
yeah,
had me with her customer. And I lived with my mother until I was about 10. A lot happened and I ended up estranged from my mother. And by the time I
yeah.
turned 15, I was looking for work. And that black card, he goes, was a membership card. Just to put it simply, it was a membership to a brothel for underage children. And Chihiro's like, what
Yes.
the entire
The guy,
fuck?
the guy that sees people as a pet that
Mm-hmm.
Chihiro is acquainted with. He
Mm-hmm.
Chihiro finds out that Kaido that was one of Kaido's customers and that he's
Mm-hmm.
looked out for Kaido for a bit
Mm-hmm.
also.
Right. Right. And he is just so dumbfounded, But at the same time that he shared a piece of him with him. And he was like, so your mom is
Yeah.
Chinese, like he was like, huh? And then he was like, and he says his name again. He goes, that's not my name. That's not my real name. And then he ends up sharing
Yeah.
his real name
And
with
he
him.
tells him his real name, which show that is so impactful because
Yes.
Kaido you can tell is a person who's
And
very
then,
guarded and he
yes.
is known to protect himself. So for him to like let these real pieces of himself slip up and for him to share
Mm-hmm.
that, that is huge.
Huge, right? Absolutely. And how would you say his real name?
Yeah. Okay. I'm probably getting this wrong. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I think it's Huoran.
Hold on.
Huoran.
Yeah, hold on. Hold on.
Huoran.
Yeah.
Huoran.
So yes. So that was the end of chapter three.
I don't
So
know.
yeah.
Why
Hmm?
I'm gonna blame it on the Voodoo Ranger having me effed up. And then at the end of that, is locking fingers and being connected. And so them
Mm-hmm.
sharing that intimate moment. Like,
Right.
oh
It's so
my
beautiful.
heart.
So beautiful. And he does not shy. Like even him putting his head on his head, on his shoulder, and then like leaning into him and like interlocking just the one finger. Like, girl, it's some hands, girl. Oh, the fucking hands get me every time when they
Yeah.
draw boy boys holding hands. Like, you could take all my
Yeah.
money, okay, but all my money, all my time, all my love, okay. So, but yeah. So am I going the right way with the fucking slide? So you get to see, am I going the right way?
No, I don't think
No?
so. No, you're going backwards.
Okay. Hold on. Maybe I just accidentally put those slides in. Oh no. Sorry. My bad.
Because we've already done that, I think. Yeah, you're
Mm-hmm.
fine.
What the fuck? What did you do, Sheena? Great, Sheena. Hold on.
You're fine.
Okay. So now we we see that he got on the internet. So he got onto what's his name's thing, and then he starts reminiscing about how he was with his ex and everything,
Yes.
and everything that he had
Yes.
been through. Yeah, and then
But before there's a panel before that, um, where it's like him and Shinichi together, like they spent
mhm
the night together, and
mhm
Shinichi's like, I should get going, and then Chihiro's like, with work, and Shinichi's like, I've got people to meet. Hiro's like, what's that supposed to mean? And Shinichi says, sorry, I'll see you later. And then so like in those in that exchange between the two of them, like you see their expressions
mhm
clearly, and eyes and everything are like like there's no prominent facial features whatsoever. So it's like you can tell, or I read that as like that is something he likes to do,
So yeah, like you said that they had that conversation before, and he's just really looking back at all these moments that were just like red flags for for this whole situation with him.
Yes.
So then he gets the invitation, but then he ends up like messaging him, correct?
I think so. So I think that Shinichi, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm echoing.
No.
I think that Shinichi had messaged him and he responded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
And then what?
yes. And then our boy ends up seeing like how he closes his laptop and everything, and he knows that something's up. So you see how his face, look how dead his eyes look when he sees something like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He has that look like he is wanting to exact pain.
Yep.
Like because he like what Chihiro's done has hurt him. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
even think that Kaido really understands that he's like hurt. Uh like he gets that he doesn't like it and he doesn't like that feeling, but I don't understand. I don't think he understands that he's like hurt. And so but he wants to exact that same feeling on
Mm-hmm.
Chihiro.
Right. And he just reverts right back to the way he was used to, like in that moment. And then
Yeah.
he's like, when they're being intimate, because he says, fuck that, like, we're going to do it. And then like just the way he's treating him, and he's calling him out of his name and everything, and he's like
He treats him
being,
like trash.
yeah, like trash, like everybody else. And you could see like he was like, holy shit, like what he's Chihiro kind of understands, but he's still like, oh my god, and he ends up hurting him because like he twists his arm back a little
Yeah.
bit, and he ends up crying out, and he ends up holding him, and he tells him like, this part always stuck out to me. He was like, that's not fair. He's like, don't cry, that's not fair, because of the fact that he hurt him first, and he doesn't feel like it was right that he was just like, this is not fair, like you don't get to cry, but don't cry, like I was like, oh my god, like this poor baby Keith's like really trying to deal with these
Yeah,
emotions.
he feels sympathy for him. Like
Mm-hmm.
he feels sympathetic to like what he did and he doesn't feel that
Mm-hmm.
way. He wants to be angry at him.
Yeah, right. And he doesn't want to hurt him like that. Yeah. So that just tore me up at that part. So then he ends up, so he's like, well, fuck it, he doesn't care about me. He doesn't like, or like, he
Yeah.
doesn't see the harm in it. And plus, he Chihiro wants closure so damn bad, and he wants to know. And he's just thinking like, okay, he's not too sure what it is between him and Kaido. Yeah, they live together. Yeah, they fuck. They do all these things, but he is always holding him at an arm's distance. And now, what's his name is hitting him up
Yeah.
again and wanting to meet up. And I think he wants answers. I think he wants to know where he stands with anybody, just to feel something like some him to belong to
He
somebody,
does.
So he ends up meeting up with him,
Yeah.
and Kaido and his homeboy, see them meeting up in the sushi bar. He's like, oh, all of a sudden I want sushi too. Like, and they go sit in the same
Yeah.
restaurant as these two when he meets up with his ex.
Yes.
Mm.
Ido has taken advantage of Chihiro's love, right? Because Chihiro
Mm-hmm.
has been open with his feelings. And Kaido has kind of taken that for granted, not taken advantage, but
Mhm.
he's taken it for granted.
Mhm.
So now that
Mhm.
it's end because Chihiro is in contact with with his first love, someone that meant something to
Mhm.
him, Kaido
Uh
is
huh.
like feeling some type of way. He's feeling
He
threatened
did,
by it,
girl.
right?
His whole face. He's like, nah. All of a sudden, I want sushi now, and then he goes
Yeah.
and sits in there. He even
His
listened to his
friend's so
homeboy. He's
pissed
just trying
too
to
because
listen to
he
what's
didn't
going on
want,
behind them.
yeah. And his friend wanted meat, I think. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Like he didn't want sushi. He's so
Yep.
mad.
Yep. So yeah, it's like he's sitting there and he's catching up, and he's like, and you know what? He's such a piece of shit too. Like his ex was all like, yeah, he's talking about his wife and everything, and like how life is going. He's just like, yeah, my wife just had a baby, and like she's not even paying attention to me, and
Yeah.
I'm damn sure not getting laid. Like just like him. Like and Chihiro's like,
Yes.
my guy, why did you hit me up? Hold on. He's like, why
Yeah.
did you hit me up? Like, what do you expect out of this? What do you want? And he was just like, well, I missed you, like
And he
you know,
so but we see Shihiro knows, I think from that moment, like Shinichi is so he is so selfish and self-centered.
mm-hmm, yeah. And he,
And he's had it so hard. Not once has he like asked about what's happened with Shihiro, what he's been through, what life has been like for him.
mm-hmm,
None of that stuff.
right, right, right. And then, that poor baby in that moment, he's just like realizing all of that. And then our boy, he doesn't see or hear any of this, and he just totally like fucking embarrasses him. And I'm just like, valid. Like
Yeah.
that's you guys may not like. I would have acted the same way. Like think what
I
you want of
love
me,
it. I
but
think
those are my
so like
feelings. Like yeah, no, fuck that. I'm gonna embarrass the shit out of you, huh?
I I
Ninja?
read this panel as like Kaido because Shihiro was falling into that
Yeah.
into his like rhythm of like been like not worth anything,
Mm-hmm.
like feeling like garbage, like he doesn't deserve more, like
Right.
feeling down on himself, right? And I felt
Mm-hmm.
like this is Kaido not only getting revenge because Shihiro met up with Shinichi, but also
Mm-hmm.
like awakening him again. Like you
Right.
are more than that. You need to snap the F out of it. And you need to finally say to him what you've wanted to say to him. Because before all he could
Exactly.
say was congrats at the wedding, right? And so this was his
Right.
opportunity to finally speak up and get. So I
Right.
felt like this was like Kaido kind of having
That moment. And yeah, he was like, well, who the hell are you? What do you want? He goes, did you come to pick
the
up
respect.
the garbage you threw out?
Yeah, he
Well,
woke
aren't you
like
just
he.
a tree hugger?
Yeah, I love it.
And then he said, and you, and he's like whispered into Chihiro's um, ear, and he's like, are you content with being a unhappy piece of trash all of your
Yes.
life? Are you, this is what you want?
Yeah.
And then he ends up walking out, and then his friends still like, are we gonna eat? Like, what the fuck just happened, and then that's when Chihiro finally stands up for himself. He's like, you know what, I'm not going nowhere with you. I'm done. He was like, thank you. He goes, but this isn't, I'm done, you know and
Yeah. And kudos to him having self worth finally and
yeah.
knowing that he is worth more than being somebody's F buddy.
Yep. Yep.
Like he
Because
finally stuck
yeah,
up
because
for
he was
himself and
still,
took
yeah.
responsibility for himself.
Yep. And then he runs after him.
Yeah, he
He
knew that he
runs
had more to
after.
offer than that. Yeah.
Yep. And he, yep. And then he uses his real name instead of just Kaido. He goes by his real name as he's trying to catch up with him.
Yes.
and he tells him like they kind of like make a joke. He's like, because when they were sleeping together the last time, he goes, "What's worse than this and that?" And he was like, "Well, obviously that. I'm not going to repeat it because it's like horror, like kind of when you read it yourself." But he kind of
Yeah.
makes that comment, but at the same time, he's just like this part right here where he just grabs his hand and he knows.
Like if yeah, they've reached that
They.
point to where if they can have that physical contact, that intimate physical contact, that meaningful physical contact, like hand
Mhm.
holding, like
Mhm. And they've this is a real transition for them,
he,
for this relationship, for this. Obviously this is more than just, okay, well, I have somewhere to be, or like I have a home, or anything like this is a lot more. And in this moment they realize that they do have feelings for each other, and that things are progressing for them. They've changed within this moment, with him running after him and everything like that. And I know deep down, I know Kaido, when he walked away, when he thought that, like, he was just relieved that his boy came to get him. You see what I'm saying? Like, and chose him instead of going with his ex.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
this
because
next
okay,
part.
if you think about like this part that you're showing now, because Kaido has not Kaido did not have that happen. He didn't have someone running after him or wondering where he was or
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
wanting to hold on to him. So that
Mhm.
meant a lot that uh Chihiro came for him. That's
Yep.
all Kaido's like
And he chose him.
looking
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. So yeah. So this next panel, these are very hard panels to see, but we really get to dive in deep of how what Kaido has been through, and what this baby has experienced in his life,
Yes.
and for him to be the way he is. So please be warned that these next panels are pretty deep. Okay,
Yeah.
so
And
you get to
triggering
see.
for like child abuse and child neglect.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
yeah, just for reference.
So you get to see that since he was little, the things that his mother did to him, the things that he's witnessed, the things that he's had to experience, even as he, like, that second panel where you can see that he's littler, but then he's older in the very next one. So
Yes.
he's been dealing with the same shit a good portion of his life, you know.
Yeah.
So then he takes a picture. So he that's just a flashback. So then he ends up Kaido ends up developing the pictures that he took on there, and then there's a frog on one of the pictures that were developed, and that triggers Kaido, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
know exactly why it triggers him, and he's like horrified, and he gets on the phone and he makes a phone call, and he's just like, "We're moving, we're moving." And he's just like, why? Like, why are we moving again? Like, he's just like, look, you'll get to have a bed and everything. Like, he's just like try to downplay why they're moving again. So
Yeah.
then you still get to see how it's still his memories, Kaido's memories of how, like, he ended up on the streets, and then how he met his homeboy. And his homeboy was the one who was recruiting people, correct? Like, he was just like, man,
Yeah.
you don't want to do this work. He's like, I'm hungry, I'm starving, like, I'll do what needs to be done. And he ends up as a sex worker under a girl, a child. Like, what the
Yeah. And that's why
ugh.
his friend that's pretty much why his friend that's going around, that's like his penance for what he had gotten Kaido
Mhm.
into.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. Because he was just another number. He was just another kid that he was drawn in. But at the same time, like, he saw, yeah, and they became close and everything like that. And then, yeah, so he had a lot. And the that's the fucking the same necklace, right?
Yeah.
So this is the guy that has the mask on. This guy is the guy that basically is his pimp. Like, and you know, he tells he's still a child and he sells him, and he actually gives him to a person that likes to beat on you as he is, as you're sleeping with him. And he, this poor baby
Yeah,
just like goes through
because that's
so
what makes
much.
money.
Huh?
Yeah, I said I guess that's what makes the most money. So he,
Yes.
because Kaido
Yes.
seems like he can handle a lot
Yeah.
or put up with
Yeah.
a lot. Yeah.
Right. So, and within that time, he actually really beats the shit out of him, and he ends up like damaging his whole face. So he had to have like reconstructive surgery on his face
Yes.
to and he damn near, he ended up in the hospital having had all these surgeries and shit. And um and he feels like he looks different too at times. Like when you really look at him when he was younger, he looks a little slightly different from all the cosmetic surgery that he's had to have, and that
Yes.
poor baby.
And this, if you remember at the beginning of the story, um, one of the first panels we showed, one of the things where like Chihiro was trying to get Kaido to take his shirt off, and Kaido wouldn't do it, and Chihiro was
Right.
like trying to, like encourage him to, and Kaido was like, he was like, no, not right now, and
Yeah.
that's why is
It's because,
because
yeah,
of all of his
he was basically tormented, like, and he has like
yeah
all these scars and shit all over his body and stuff. But he got his face done because that's his moneymaker. You see what I'm saying?
yes.
Like, and so yeah. And he liked it. He liked it that he liked his face,
There's
because he even made like a what was it? The
There's another panel. I don't think is on here though, but it is where Chihiro and Kaido's mom meet on the street,
Mhm.
and Kaido or Chihiro's like checking up on her, asking her if she's feeling better from the other day, and says something about Kaido and uses what he thinks is his real name,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Who?" And he's like,
Yeah.
your son that gives you money all the time,
Money.
and she's like, "Oh, Yukichi."
Right.
And so she's using a completely different name from what Kaido said his real name
Right.
was. And so you can tell that
Right. Right.
kind of hits Chihiro too. Like, well, he told
Right.
me his real name was Haran or Huron or whatever.
Yeah.
Haran. He's a different name, like his own mother. Like,
Mhm.
like which one is the real him? And
Right.
did he lie to me? Did he, like pretend to open
Right.
up? So he's dealing with those issues too of like, he's opening himself up to trust someone again, but then he doesn't know if he can fully trust this person again. So
That part. That part. And then too, with with this whole face being like redone and stuff like that, I know Chihiro made a comment that, he just thought he was just like so pretty. Like when he first saw him, he liked his face. And then he's just thinking like, if you only knew, like,
yeah,
this is not really what I went through lengths to look like. Like there's a lot more hurt behind my face and shit like that. So yeah.
yeah,
So then he ends up running into his mom again. And within that, in that altercation, like, he sees his mom and she runs away from him, right? And then the next time that he sees her again, she's on the ground like this.
and that's when wait, is that when she's yeah, it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's when she's dead because that's when they have that motion and they're like
Mm-hmm.
some woman that is known to hang around here has been killed
Yep.
or is like laying out in the street dead, and that's how he finds her. So he
Right.
himself never gets that closure either.
Right. Right. So yeah, and he is just all the way fucked up. And that's all he could say is like, "Mom, like, so yeah." So we're entering episode 6, chapter 6, and then this is just like the aftermath of it all, and he is like full blown depression. He hasn't moved, he won't eat, he won't sleep, he just sits there in the hallway, and he's just like Chihiro's like at a loss, like he doesn't know what to do, but he knows that he needs to do something, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he ends up leaving him there and trying to get a job to like take care of them, you know. And he ends up running to Kaido's friend, and he's like, "Have you ever had a job? What are
Yeah.
you doing, dude? Like, But he tries to help him out. He's like, "I don't want to do what you guys are doing." He goes, "But I'm gonna try to. I want to take care of him the way he's been trying to take care of me. So like I'm just gonna go work at this diner." So he ends up
Yeah.
working. He ends up getting a job, and like this part is so right before he gets the job and everything, like him just trying to like all the memories that he's accumulated, like he looks at him, but at the same time, like he's just like right there with him, and
Yeah,
oh, it just,
he's trying to be there for him and let him know that he's not
hmm
alone and
and he just
that
realizes, yeah, like all this time,
like
yeah,
yeah. I love
ugh,
too like Kaido's friend is like throwing like in that panel before is kind of like throwing all the like shots and stuff at him. He's like, "Well, you'll just find your next sucker and move out, right?" Like, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like he's throwing everything up in his face. Like I guess to like
right,
try to
and then
make
he's,
sure that he's genuinely
yeah,
serious or whatever.
yeah, and then he doesn't get to see those moments. He doesn't. His best friend, like Kaido's friend, doesn't know any of those moments, and he doesn't know that he feels as deeply as he does for him. Like, look, his heart is fucking breaking every time he has to leave
Yeah.
him there, and he's just like laying there on the floor, like
Yeah.
that's real. That's something real. And then yeah, absolutely, like you said, like he's just
Yes.
like, dude, why are you tripping? Like, you're just gonna go off and leave his ass anyway. So, and he's just like he
Yeah.
doesn't see that, and absolutely, ugh. So he ends up getting
So
a
I
job
also
at
think that Kaido's friend thinks that like straight relationships and gay relationships are different.
different,
Cause like I
totally.
feel like that's yes, I think that that's what he
Yeah, because he ends up
said.
throwing that in his face too. He ends up saying that later, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so he ends up getting a job at uh, a restaurant and everything, and then he runs into his fucking brother. He ends up this
Yeah.
is his brother right here, and he ends up running into him, and the brother is out with his whole little family, and he's just like they get up, and
Yes.
he's like, they're both panicking because like I don't know if the brother, like he didn't want his kids around him, like he was like gonna fucking like, oh,
Yeah.
like what,
Like
and then they
literally
didn't,
gonna catch his gay. Like that's how his brother
yes,
acts. Like,
exactly, that's exactly
oh,
how he was
my
acting.
kids are gonna like catch this that my
You're a
brother
bad
has.
influence
Like,
for my
get
kids
the
and
F
stuff.
out
Like
of here.
when he's just working. What the hell are you talking about? And he was just like, so when he picks up his whole
Yeah.
family and he leaves, and he's trying to like talk to him at the same time he's scrambling. He's like, well, do you have the camera, or like, can I get like? And he's just like, stay the fuck away. Like, don't ask me nothing.
Yeah.
Stay away. And then as they're
Yeah.
walking away, he's like, don't come around my family. He goes, how are we any different from each other? How are we like? I don't
Yes.
get it.
Oh,
And then he ends up
I
like
hate that.
exploding on him, and then like his brother ends
Yeah,
up
he
punching him in the
does.
face. Yeah, and then he ends up just on the ground, like once again, just treated like shit.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he's just like, ugh. And then coming home
But the
from,
way
and then
my
so
guy
he
always gets up and keeps going, I
yes,
love it.
yes, and then so he ends up meeting up with Kaido's homeboy, and then this is the part that Inja was talking about. Like he's at his wits end right now. Like the day that he's fucking had, then he has to go and listen to this idiot, and he's talking about how he fell in love with one of the girls that you know she
Was an
escorts and
escort.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
and then basically Kaido's like, dude, like what? Like, how did you not know? Like,
Mhm.
okay, like basically you'll be okay. Like it's okay. Like you lesson learned, you know. Like basically he's just trying to tell him like you can't turn a hoe into no housewife. Like that's basically what he tells him. Like and he's like, man,
Mhm.
fuck you, dog. Like he's like his feelings are real,
I mean,
and he's
like,
just like
yeah,
that's what he
because
tells
it's like,
him.
isn't she cheating on you all the time, technically?
Exactly, exactly. Like he was like, she's at work,
Is
like
she an
she's not
escort?
thinking about you. He's like, what? And then he's just like, but whatever. And he was just like, well, and then he starts to attack him because he's upset, just like Inja said. And,
Yes.
you know, but that's when he brings up, well, you guys are not even a real fucking couple because you're, being gay. That's totally different. And he's just like looking at him like, no,
Yeah. Like,
no,
what?
like what? No.
Yeah.
And he's like, because besides you, Kaido don't have anything. That's why you two can be together like that. Like you'll never be
Yeah.
anything. So that's why you
Like,
guys
he
could do that.
doesn't, yeah, he doesn't realize that, like, I don't think he's realized that Kaido has gone in as deep as what he has with Chihiro.
Mhm.
And he thinks
Mhm.
that Chihiro is just out to, like, have a place to stay and to do what he needs to
Right.
do in order to keep that. And I don't know if he thinks that that's how, like, most gay couples operate or what. Like, he clearly
Right.
has this bias. Um, he, like you said, he's his frustrations of his own predicament out on them too. So
No
I
doubt.
don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
so it's
that
got our
scene
boy like really
was
like thinking. He ends up leaving there. He
yeah,
had this shitty ass day that between his brother. Then he has an interaction with the homeboy, and then he's just sitting on this bench like with the necklace that he gave him. He's just like, am I, am I the drama? Like, are these people for real? Am I just not seeing it? No. Like he's like letting those things creep into his head, and he's really feeling down at this moment, and he's just like, oh, that poor baby.
I know. You
And then
really
we go
hit the
back to our
spot
other
because
baby. Yeah,
this is like, so this volume is the volume of Chihiro, and I feel like the next volume is the volume of Kaido.
yeah, no doubt. And then so we go back to our other baby that's sitting in the hallway, and he's just going through it. He's just remembering his mother and everything, just like flashbacks of him
Yeah,
and his mother. And then he comes home to him, and he tells you he's actually hungry, and that gives him hope. Like he's had such a shitty ass day, and he comes home, and
yes,
now Kaido's like responding, and that gives him the motivation to like put that shit aside and focus on him. Like that gives him like the like a energy, like like being hopeful, being optimistic, like back on that track of. And he's just like, you know what, don't worry about it, I'll take care of you. So he ends
yeah,
up taking him out to eat, and he's not used to eating out. And so they're just sitting there together, and he
yes,
opens up about his mother and everything.
yeah.
He's like, I don't even know if she remembers. I don't know. Like my poor, but look at him, his little fucking face, he's just so broken. So then they end up like kind of
It
going like
is.
on a date. Like they go bowling. He tries to take him out. Like they get on a rowboat, and like they're being really cutesy
Yeah.
together and trying to like. And that's the thing about grief too. Like you can find happy moments, happy pockets in between your grief. And
Yes.
he tries
That
to put
doesn't
a
mean that
smile
you're
on his
happy
face.
though.
Exactly. That
But
doesn't mean
yeah,
that you're happy. And he feels this, and he's just like, you know, it's been a good day. And
yeah,
then he was like, nothing feels better than this. Like, and they have this really fucking beautiful moment. But then he turns around and says said something like
in that
so gut wrenching, huh?
he says I want to die. I feel like so like that whole segment of like them going on this like date to like get things out of their head and not think
Uh
about
huh.
what's going on is like such a true depiction of how depression works and
Mhm.
grief. Even
Absolutely.
though like you
Absolutely.
may for a moment be having a good time, it doesn't take away from those depressive thoughts or that depressive feeling.
Mhm.
So you still always come back to that. So the way like even though he was having a good time and liked being with him, like when
Mhm.
he makes that statement, I want to die, like that is so like I don't know, like depression is all encompassing and I feel like that just really they did a really good job of showing like
Mhm.
what depression can be.
Right. Right. So they end the day and they're walking back, and there's a train, like the train tracks, and they're walking across them, and Kaido decides that he's going to just lay down on the train tracks. And he's just like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna lay here because
Yeah.
he's still in that state of mind. Like he's just like, I'm gonna lay here and fuck it.
Yeah. And so everything that they believe Chihiro is or Chihiro, however you say his name, everything that they believe he is, um, they believe he is very um like surface driven,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
shallow, I guess.
Mhm.
And so like this scene in particular, well, the scene where he's like going out to find work so he can help to support Kaido and
Mhm.
do all these things shows that he's not. And even this scene right here shows that this love that he has for him is deeper than just surface level.
Right. And he's just like,
And so
and then when he looks
that is
over,
just
he's just
him
like, yeah,
as a
I'm gonna lay
character.
down here too.
Yeah.
And then he's like, what the
And
fuck? Like, yeah. And like you
yeah.
said, maybe he just thought he was just going to keep on walking or like not make this a part of his
Yeah.
problems or anything like that. And then like with the train coming, he has to make a decision. And then he
Yes.
realizes that like, A, he saved him. They both saved
Yeah.
each other. They both
Yeah.
saved each other for that matter.
And
And
Kaido made a
that
decision to live,
to
which is
live
huge. Yeah.
huge.
I think that's why he's so upset is because he made that decision to keep going when it's so easy just not to.
Yeah. Right. And he's so upset with him in this moment
Yeah.
because he's just like that I get hopeful and maybe I could just keep living. I might finally be happy. And it's all your fucking fault. It's all your fault for making me. And that's the thing too. It's like they really found hope in
Yes.
all this fucked up situation. They found hope in this very hopeless place, this hopeless situations that he he's so scared to be happy,
Yeah.
but he wants it so fucking bad, and he's just so mad about it. He's so mad for him making him feel something and not letting go and giving him a reason to keep pushing. And then that moment he knows like this is more than just this, just what he's feeling, you know, and he's not
And
alone in
also
his
their circumstances are so different. Like
yeah.
they have been through like they've had different scenarios,
Mhm.
like they are both kind of one and the same. Like they have both hit rock bottom in their own way. And
Mhm.
so they are kind of like each other's anchor. Like
Yeah.
Kaido was Chihiro's anchor for like hanging on. And then
Yeah.
Chihiro repaid Kaido back by being his anchor. I love that they were there for each other at their
Yeah.
very worst, pretty much.
Right.
And that they kept
And
each
they're
other
each other's
going.
anchors. Like they became each other's anchors as far as like in all this in this misery. They've learned to hold on to each other and not really in a toxic way either. They're not using each other to
No,
like, this is genuine.
further another's
Like,
journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
they genuinely give a fuck about each other, and it's crazy how Kaido could even like fathom like having feelings, but that's what he's always wanted. He never wanted to be in the situations that he was in. and to live the life that
Yeah.
he has, and to be hard the way he is, and put his feelings in a, somewhere, tuck him down deep. He never wanted that for himself. Who the fuck does? So to be vulnerable in front of him, it's just like everything it just bubbles up to the surface, and he's just really just raw and open right now. And he's like, it's okay that you make it my fault. Just stay with me. Don't fucking give up. Don't give up. And
Yeah.
and like you said, life is hard, but it can be worth living, especially when you find, even if it's just something small, to stay in this world, to anchor to. Like, ugh.
Chihiro's putting himself out there though once
Uh huh.
again.
Yeah.
Because he's like, because Kaido could just be like, like, no, like, I don't need you, I'll do this on my own or whatever. But
Uh huh.
Chihiro's once again putting his feelings on the forefront and putting himself out there, making himself vulnerable and trying to be something to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, and that takes courage, and that you just go back to what you were saying, like, in real life situations, like in anything, like, how many times have you been burned in friendships and relationships and everything like that, but yet when somebody new comes into your life, how you take the chance every single time to make yourself vulnerable. It's hard being vulnerable in front of people, and holding, giving a piece of yourself to
Yeah.
somebody, and that's some real shit. Like, that's real life shit. Like,
Yeah.
how many times have we've all been burned by somebody, but you he's tried not to let, like, his past and everything like that reflect of what he's trying to give this person that's in front of him. So,
Yeah.
and he wants to give that
Yeah.
person hope. He wants to give
100%.
Yeah, he wants to give him everything that nobody ever gave him. So I love it.
Yeah.
And then this
Me
piano girl,
too.
ugh, oh,
Not my guy finally opening up and being.
yeah. Holding
I
on
love
to
it.
something that wants to be held. He wants to be held back in return.
Yeah.
Like, oh, girl, I was sobbing when I first, and then, like, I finally, like I said, when I first started to read this, and then it was just like I finally got it. I finally got what the fuck she was trying to say, and I went back and then, like, really pulling the story apart, like, and I just absolutely loved it. I absolutely love what she attempted to do. So then
Mm-hmm.
this part cracked me up. So they end
No.
up going back, and homeboy is like distraught. Homie is like, I'm sorry. I talked the shit that I did. I'm sorry. He was just like, and Chihiro's like, huh?
How
He's
big
like,
is that? Like, how big of him is that? Because, like,
yeah,
his lifestyle is completely different from theirs. But how big is that to take a step down and to humble himself and to be like, I
uh
was
huh,
in the wrong, although, like, our paths in life are different and the way that we view relationships are different.
mm-hmm,
Like, I was completely in the wrong, and I'll admit that, and I'm gonna apologize, and I'm gonna admit that I was acting on emotions based on my own circumstance and took it out on you and then degraded something that you all had. Like, this part I really love too, because he's like
yeah,
showing respect to them in the way that they deserve.
right. And then, yeah, and then he, oh, girl, the hands, I'm telling you, but yeah, he's like tugging on him to hold his hand, and that, they're anchored,
I
like,
know it.
to to be affectionate towards each other. And then this is big, this is
Yeah.
this is them trying with each other, and
Yeah.
showing them that they're more, showing even the homie right here in front of them that they are more, yeah. I was like, oh, already bawling and shit, but laughing at the same time at this loony person, like, his homie, and then,
Yeah.
yeah, but and he reached back, like, he held out his hand for him, and he took it. So that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it was
Beautiful.
Kaido, it was Kaido looking for him for his hand, instead of the opposite. and that I'm like, oh, my baby, yes, yes. So, but yeah, and that is the end.
Such a good volume.
Such a good volume. And then number two, like, I very much encourage you to go read volume two because it will hit you in all the fucking feels. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
It,
It'll hurt a
so, what
little
did you
bit.
overall think about it? And
For
just,
sure.
huh? What'd you say?
A volume one.
Yeah,
Oh, I loved it. Like I didn't
yeah,
expect it to be as deep as what it was.
right,
Honestly, like
right.
the way that it kind of started out, I thought there to be, like some kind of a little bit of angst, but then like a lot
Uh
of
huh,
like comedy.
uh huh,
But it was not that at all. Like I didn't
right,
expect it to be as heart wrenching and like as disturbing as what it was.
right. Absolutely. And then it too, just like I
So I
said,
loved
like,
it.
a lot of BL can be very toxic and bring out like every they have the habit of like just the really fucking traumatic stuff happen to BL, happen to gay couples and all this stuff, like to trans people in books. And absolutely they're more than just that. We're more than just that, right? But this book is done so well
Yeah.
to me that everything that they went through was for not a good reason, but to tell this beautiful story. Like it was done so beautifully and so like that this was her baby, like, and it was executed so well that I appreciate every single panel, every single thing that they were to show, even the most horrible parts, to see the most beautiful parts. And I absolutely was fucking destroyed by this book. And I remember waiting for the next book to come out, and I was just like, I need to know. And I like jumped through hurdles to get this second book because the publisher, this publisher, um, that this house that they go through for this book, they don't put out their books. Consistently. Like the them shipping, it's always a problem with this little publishing house. So when it released, it was kept getting pushed back, pushed back, pushed back because of the publisher. So I was just like, fuck, when am I ever going to know what happened? So I was glad that it did. So hopefully nothing like that happens. The third one is to say that it's coming out in October, in the middle of October. So we shall see. And yeah, but
Yeah.
and
Love
whoever's
it.
read this book, yeah, please let us know. And then if you watch this whole thing, we appreciate it, and hopefully it jumps, whatever part you watch, whether you just watch the first part where we were talking about, whether you went on this whole journey like Andrew told you to, like,
You better have went on the whole journey. First of all.
and then yeah, but yeah, we hope that we we serve this story justice, and the story means a lot to both of us. And yeah, you definitely, hopefully, you check out the rest of her work. And if you check out Bitch Club, just let me know, girl, because we could talk about it. Holy shit!
Okay.
But
That'll definitely be one I check out.
yeah, okay, cool beans. Do you have anything else that you want to add before we wrap this up?
Thank you for seeing it until the end because I know you did. I told you to. And just leave a comment on what you think of the story.
Right,
And if
we
there's
appreciate any
another, like,
comment.
if there's any other manga or anything that you would like us to review or go over, let us know.
Yeah. No, yeah, we would love that. We love it when you guys like interact and everything like that. We want to hear from you guys, and then especially like the women in comics and everything like that. We would love to bring other people on and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope that we
Oh,
both hope enjoy.
also vote for us in every category we've been nominated for, please and thank you.
Yes. By then, we should know by within like a couple of, yeah, like, so voting should be like damn near closed in October, and
Oh,
then
well, we
November we'll see if your
better
girls,
been
right.
for everything, or all of y'all are getting unfollowed.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but till then, we love you. We appreciate you. I love and appreciate you, and thank
But the
you.
love
Thank
is
you for taking the
conditional if
time.
we weren't voted for.
That part. My love for Inja is unconditional. You guys are maybe, but no, I'm just joking. But yes, Inja, thank you for your time. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for giving the story a try. Even, and
Mm.
I appreciate and love you for that.
Love you.
Love you. So till next time, you guys take care. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves, just like our babies. Learn how to be good to yourself, and yeah, just keep going. Don't give up hope. And we'll see you next
Yeah.
time. Bye.
Bye.